You're supposed to always answer my call!
For months, nothing I did was right. I worked too many hours at the office. I didn't pay enough attention to her needs. I wasn't romantic enough. Then suddenly, like a switch flipped, the complaints reversed. I was too clingy. I was smothering her. I needed to back off and give her breathing room. There was literally no winning, no matter what I did. The arguments had been escalating for weeks. What started as minor disagreements about household stuff evolved into full-blown accusations about my character. Every little thing I did became evidence of some larger failing. It was exhausting, and I was constantly on edge wondering what would set off the next explosion. It all came to a head on a Tuesday evening. I walked through the door around 6:30 after a normal day at work, and there she was in our bedroom with a suitcase laid out on the bed, methodically folding her clothes into neat stacks. I just stood there in the doorway, completely confused, asking what was happening. She wouldn't even make eye contact, just kept folding clothes and said she needed time away, that she was going to stay with her friend Rachel for a few weeks. When I asked how long a few weeks actually meant, she gave me a vague answer. A couple weeks, maybe longer. I tried reasoning with her, genuinely tried. We can figure this out together. We don't need to do this, I said. Her response shut me down cold. She wasn't asking for permission. She was informing me of her decision. The finality in her voice caught me completely off guard. She zipped up the suitcase, grabbed her car keys from the dresser, and just walked out. 13 years together. 13 years of building a life. And she walked out over what seemed like a disagreement about me checking in on her too much when she went out with friends. The logic didn't add up, but there was no reasoning with her at that point. The house felt weird that first night. Too silent. I kept expecting to hear her moving around, talking, existing, but there was just nothing. By that Saturday, I started second-guessing myself. Maybe I should reach out, show I care. So I sent a text asking if she was okay. 3 hours passed before I got a single word back. Fine. The next day I tried calling, voicemail. So I texted again, asking if we could actually talk about what was happening. Her reply came an hour later, and it was brutal. Stop suffocating me. I'll contact you when I want to. I sat there staring at my phone, suffocating. That's what she called basic concern for someone who just moved out of our home. I typed one word back. Understood. Then I did something I'd never considered before. I went into my settings and muted her notifications. Messages would still arrive, but I wouldn't see them constantly. Next, I turned off our location sharing that we'd maintained for years. Finally, I removed her from my emergency contacts and put my cousin Derek there instead. Sitting on my couch that night, I felt something unexpected. Relief. She wanted space. Perfect. She'd get exactly that. No more messages, no more calls, no more worrying about her feelings. My number was the same if she wanted to reach me, but I was done chasing someone who called caring suffocating. That night, I slept better than I had in months. No rehashing arguments in my head. No analyzing what I'd done wrong. Just quiet sleep. The next morning, I made coffee without anyone commenting on my caffeine intake. I watched basketball without dramatic sighs in the background. I ordered Chinese food from the place she always complained about. It felt amazing. By the middle of the next week, I'd found a rhythm. Work, gym, home, repeat. I called my buddy Marcus, someone I hadn't hung out with in almost a year. We grabbed beers after work. When he asked about her, I kept it simple. She's staying with a friend for a bit. He didn't push for details. We talked about normal stuff, work drama, sports, life. When I got home that night, I realized I hadn't thought about her once during those 3 hours. The following day at work, my coworker Jennifer stopped by my desk mid-morning and mentioned I seemed different lately. Lighter, she said. Maybe more relaxed. I shrugged it off and said I was just focusing on work, but she was right. For the first time in forever, I wasn't walking on eggshells around someone. I wasn't constantly analyzing every word before I spoke. I wasn't bracing for the next fight or trying to predict what would trigger an argument. I was just existing, living my life, and it felt absolutely incredible. The weight that had been pressing down on my shoulders for months was suddenly gone. That Thursday marked 1 week since she'd left. My phone buzzed with a text from her mother asking if everything was okay between us. I kept my response brief. She asked for space, so I'm giving it to her. Her mom seemed surprised, said she didn't know about any of this. I told her to ask her daughter about it and left it there. Friday night, Marcus invited me to meet up downtown with some guys from our old bowling league. Normally, I would have said no, automatically. She'd hated when I went out without her, but she wasn't here, and she'd made it clear she didn't want me contacting her. So I went. We met up with 4 other guys I hadn't seen in over a year. They asked where I'd been. Life got busy, but I'm back now, I told them. One of them, Jason, laughed and said they'd missed having me around. It was genuinely a good night. No tension, no drama, just guys talking nonsense and watching the game. Week 2 started with something I hadn't experienced in years. Actual peace. I woke up naturally at 6 without an alarm. Made a real breakfast. Eggs, bacon, the works. The kind of meal she used to criticize as too unhealthy. I enjoyed every bite. At work, my productivity skyrocketed. Projects I'd been dragging on suddenly got completed. Jennifer noticed and commented on it. Tuesday evening, Marcus called about trivia night at McGinty's pub. 2 weeks ago, I would have automatically declined without even considering it. She thought trivia was incredibly boring, a waste of time, so I'd stopped going completely. Hadn't been in probably 2 years. This time, I didn't hesitate. Yeah, I'm in. What time? 7, don't be late. I showed up at 6:55, 5 minutes early. Our usual spot in the back was already claimed by Marcus and 3 other guys who all cheered when they spotted me walking in. "Look who decided to rejoin society," one of them shouted across the pub. We came in second place that night, lost by just 2 points on a question about Asian geography. Everyone gave me so much grief about it, blamed me for costing us the win. But I was genuinely laughing, harder than I had in months. When was the last time I'd laughed like that, without any worry or tension? It had to be months, maybe even longer. Wednesday, I got a text from her aunt, someone I'd always gotten along with well. She was straightforward, no games. Her message asked if I was doing okay, mentioned she'd heard things were rough. I appreciated that she asked about me first, told her I was good, that she'd needed space, so I was giving it to her. Her aunt said that was mature, that most guys would be blowing up her phone. I explained she'd been pretty clear about what she wanted. Her aunt just said fair enough and to let her know if I needed anything. Thursday at lunch, I ran into Kevin from the finance department. We'd worked together on a project last year, but hadn't talked much since. He invited me to try the new burger place down the street. Over lunch, Kevin mentioned he'd heard through the office grapevine that I was going through something. I kept it simple. My wife wanted space. I gave it to her. Life goes on. He looked impressed, said most people would make it complicated, and gave me props for not being dramatic about it. Friday marked 2 weeks. I'd started going to the gym regularly again, something I'd stopped because she always complained I spent too much time there. At the weights, I bumped into Ryan, an old college friend who'd moved back to town recently. We kept saying we should hang out, but never did. He was shocked to see me, said he'd been trying to reach me for months. I laughed and said my schedule had opened up recently. We made plans for Saturday breakfast. Saturday morning, I woke up with 0 obligations. No errands she'd assigned me. No social commitments with her friends. Just an empty day. Ryan and I met at a diner off the highway, spent 2 hours catching up over pancakes and coffee. He asked about married life. I told him it was currently on pause. He raised an eyebrow, but I kept it brief. She wanted time apart. I'm giving it to her. He asked how long. I said 2 weeks so far. He seemed surprised I was so calm about it. I asked what the alternative was, chasing after someone who told me to back off. He laughed and said college me would have been a disaster. I agreed that college me was an idiot. That afternoon, I tackled the garage, something I'd been putting off forever. Organized everything. Threw out junk we'd accumulated. By the time I finished, it looked completely different. Sunday, I did absolutely nothing. Watched football, ordered pizza, didn't obsessively check my phone. Didn't wonder what she was doing. Didn't care. Monday of week 3, Jennifer stopped by again. She said point blank that something had changed, that I seemed like a different person. I was actually smiling, getting work done early, participating in social events. She asked who I was and what I'd done with the guy who looked miserable every Monday. I leaned back and told her maybe I'd just been in a bad situation and didn't realize it until I got out. She studied me for a moment and said whatever changed was working. That evening, I got a text from an unfamiliar number. It was Rachel's husband, Mike. We'd met a few times at gatherings, but never really connected. He was checking in. Said Rachel mentioned my wife was staying with them and wanted to know if I was doing all right. Interesting timing. I told him I was good and thanked him for asking. Tuesday, I signed up for a pottery class at the community center, something I'd always been interested in, but never had time for. First session was that Saturday. Wednesday, I went to the driving range with Jason. We hit a bucket of balls and didn't talk about anything serious. Just enjoyed the evening. Thursday, I actually cooked a proper meal. Steak, roasted vegetables, mashed potatoes. Sat at the kitchen table alone and felt content, not lonely. That night, my phone buzzed. Her mom again. Have you talked to her? No. Why not? She asked me not to contact her. I'm respecting that. The typing dots appeared and disappeared a few times. Then she wrote that she thought there'd been a misunderstanding. I replied there hadn't, that her daughter had been very clear. No response after that. Friday marked 3 weeks. 21 days without initiating any contact. 21 days without arguing or feeling like everything I did was wrong. Jennifer caught me at the coffee machine and demanded to know what was going on. I poured my coffee and told her the truth. My wife wanted space. I gave it to her. That's it. She seemed shocked, said most people would be falling apart. I asked why I should be falling apart when she got what she asked for and I got some peace. Everyone wins. Jennifer shook her head and said I was either incredibly healthy or in complete denial. I suggested maybe both. She laughed and walked away. That night I stayed late at the office finishing a project. Not because I had to, but because I wanted to. When I left around 8, the building was nearly empty. Driving home, my phone rang from an unknown number. I sent it to voicemail. Something told me things were about to get interesting. The voicemail was from her mother. I listened the next morning over breakfast. She was concerned, said her daughter seemed upset that I hadn't called, asked me to please reach out because she thought there'd been miscommunication. I deleted it. There was no miscommunication. She told me to stop suffocating her and that she'd contact me when she wanted to. Those were her exact words. I wasn't going to play games where I had to decode what she actually meant versus what she said. The pottery class was perfect. 6 people, including me. The instructor, an older guy named Phil, taught us basic techniques and safety. By the end of 2 hours, I'd made a simple bowl. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. Phil said I had good hands, asked if I'd done this before. First time, I told him. He said I had natural talent and asked if I'd be back next week. Absolutely. Sunday morning at the basketball court felt like stepping back in time. Same cracked asphalt, same chain link fence. Ryan was already warming up when I arrived. We ran pickup games for an hour. My legs were sore, but it felt productive. After, Jason pulled me aside and asked what happened. I'd disappeared for 2 years, and now I was back like nothing changed. I told him life happened. Then it unhappened. He laughed and said that was the most cryptic answer he'd ever heard. I said it was the most honest one I had. Monday morning, Jennifer was waiting at my desk with coffee. She'd run into Marcus's girlfriend at Target who mentioned I'd been hanging out with the guys again. She wanted answers. I took the coffee and told her the truth. My wife moved out 3 weeks ago. I'm handling it. Her eyes went wide. She asked how I could be so okay about it. I explained she wanted space. I gave it to her. What else was I supposed to do, fall apart? Jennifer sat on the edge of my desk and said most people would at least seem upset. I told her I was upset for about 2 days, then realized I felt better without the constant tension. She studied me and said that was either the healthiest thing she'd ever heard, or I was bottling everything up. I assured her it wasn't bottling, just accepting reality. She finally nodded and said good for me, that most guys would be texting nonstop begging their wives to come back. I reminded her that she'd explicitly told me not to contact her, so I was just following instructions. Tuesday afternoon, Mike texted again. Rachel's husband. He said Rachel wanted to know if I was planning to talk to my wife anytime soon because she'd been asking about me. I stared at the message and typed back that she knows how to reach me. 3 dots appeared immediately. He wrote that he thought she was waiting for me to make the first move. I replied that she told me not to contact her and I was respecting her wishes. He asked if I was sure that's what she meant. I almost laughed. That's what she said, I wrote back. If she meant something else, she should have used different words. No response after that. Wednesday, I got a call during lunch. Her mom again. I answered. She immediately said I'd been ignoring her calls. I told her I'd been busy. She asked if I was too busy to check on my wife. I reminded her that she wasn't missing, she was staying with Rachel, and if there was an emergency, someone would have told me. Her mom got frustrated, said I should be fighting for my marriage. I stayed calm and explained that her daughter told me very clearly to stop suffocating her and that she'd contact me when she wanted to. I was doing exactly what she asked. Her mom insisted that wasn't what she meant. I asked what she did mean then. Silence. Then a frustrated sigh. She accused me of being intentionally difficult. I said no, I was being literal. There's a difference. She wanted me to show I care by ignoring her direct request. I pointed out that didn't make any sense. She called me impossible and hung up. I finished my sandwich. Thursday evening, Ryan and I hit the driving range again. He'd been quiet most of the session until we were on the last bucket of balls. He asked if I was really okay with all this, my wife leaving. I lined up a shot and said honestly, yeah, I was. He seemed surprised it happened so fast. I told him it wasn't fast. It had been building for months or years. This was just the breaking point. And when she told me to back off, something clicked. I realized I'd been walking on eggshells so long, I'd forgotten what it felt like to just exist without constant criticism. I swung and the ball sailed straight down the range. Ryan said that was heavy. I shrugged and said it is what it is. He asked what happens now. I told him no idea. She wanted space and she's getting it. If she decides she wants to talk, she knows where to find me. But I'm not chasing her. Ryan nodded slowly and said he respected that it takes guts to walk away. I corrected him. I didn't walk away. I just stopped running after her. Friday afternoon, I was in a meeting when my phone started buzzing repeatedly. I ignored it. When the meeting ended an hour later, I checked my messages. 4 texts from her aunt. Can you please call her? She's really upset. I don't know what happened between you two, but this silent treatment isn't helping. She needs to hear from you. I called her aunt during my drive home. She answered immediately and said she was glad I called, that my wife was really struggling. Struggling with what? With me not reaching out. She thinks I don't care. I switched lanes and said, let me get this straight. She told me to stop contacting her. I did exactly that. And now she's upset that I listened? When her aunt put it like that, she admitted I had a point. I told her that her niece says things she doesn't mean when she's emotional. I replied that maybe she should think before she speaks then. That I'm not a mind reader. If she wants to talk, she can call me. My number hasn't changed. Her aunt asked if I was really not going to budge on this. Nope. She sighed and said I'd changed. I agreed, for the better. She said she hoped we'd both figure this out. Me too, I said, but on my terms, not through games. That night, Marcus invited me to a barbecue at his place. His girlfriend Andrea was there with a few other couples, normal people, having normal conversations. Andrea pulled me aside while Marcus was grilling. She said Marcus had told her about my situation and that I was handling it like a champion. I shrugged and said I was handling it the only way that makes sense. By not chasing her? By respecting what she asked for. Andrea smiled and said that was either brilliant or insane. She hadn't decided which. I asked why it couldn't be both. She laughed and said fair point, and for what it's worth, she thought I was doing the right thing. If my wife wanted me to fight for her, she should have said that instead of pushing me away. Saturday morning, I woke up to a text from an unknown number. It was Rachel. We need to talk about what's going on. I didn't respond. Sunday at the basketball court, Jason asked how I was holding up. Same as yesterday, same as the day before. He said I was weirdly zen about everything. I asked what the alternative was. Fall apart because someone told me to leave them alone and I actually did it? He laughed and said when I put it like that, it sounded ridiculous. Because it is ridiculous, I agreed. By the end of week 4, I'd established a routine I genuinely enjoyed. Work, gym, hobbies, friends. Simple and uncomplicated, no drama. And then, everything changed. Monday morning started completely normal. Coffee at 6, exactly like every other day. Out the door by 7 to beat traffic. At 9, I had a meeting with the executive team, the leadership group. Major presentation on a new initiative I'd been developing, career-defining stuff that could change my trajectory at the company. My phone was on silent in my pocket. I completely forgot about it, focused entirely on nailing the presentation and making my case to the executives. It went incredibly well, better than I'd hoped. My boss Daniel pulled me aside in the hallway afterward and said, excellent work, said they were moving forward with my proposal, that he was impressed with how I'd handled the questions from the VP. I felt like I was floating as I walked back to my desk around 10:30. That's when I remembered my phone. I pulled it out of my pocket and my stomach dropped. 87 unread messages. 87. I sat down slowly, deliberately, and opened the messaging app with shaking hands. Every single one was from her. The first came at 8:42 a.m. Hey, casual, simple. Then at 8:50. How are you? 9:15. Are you ignoring me? 9:35. I can't believe you're doing this. 9:48. Answer me. They got progressively more frantic as the morning went on, more desperate and angry. By the end, they were all caps, aggressive and demanding. Answer your phone now. Where are you? This is unacceptable. I need to talk to you right now. 23 missed calls, too, spread throughout the same time period. I set the phone down on my desk, took a long sip of my now cold coffee, and thought carefully about my response. Finally, I typed something simple and direct. You asked me not to contact you. I respected that. What changed? 30 seconds later, my phone lit up with her call. I let it ring all the way through to voicemail and sent a text instead. I'm at work. Can't talk right now. The response was immediate. When can you talk? Later. When is later? When I'm not working, when I'm done with my job responsibilities. This is important, she wrote back. So is my job, I replied. 3 dots appeared on the screen, disappeared, appeared again, disappeared again, then finally, you've changed. I typed back carefully. You wanted space. I gave it to you. That changes a person. Respect changes a person. No response for 5 minutes, and I thought maybe that was the end of it. Then another incoming call. I declined it immediately and texted again. I said I'm at work. Her response was almost instant. I need to talk to you now, and I need to finish my work. The world doesn't stop because you decided today's the day you want to talk after 4 weeks of silence. The messages stopped for about an hour. At noon, Kevin and I grabbed lunch. He said I seemed tense. I told him my wife broke 4 weeks of silence with 87 text messages this morning. Kevin nearly choked. 87? Counted them myself. And you're not calling back? I told her I'd talk when I'm done working. He grinned and said I was his hero. At 2, the messages started again. Please call me. We need to talk. This is serious. I'm not playing games. I typed back. Neither am I. You told me exactly what you wanted. I gave it to you. That's not fair. What's not fair is expecting me to guess what you meant instead of taking your words seriously. You know I didn't mean it like that. How would I know that? Stop being difficult. I put the phone away. At 3:30, Mike called. Hey man, your wife is kind of losing it over here. She's been crying all morning. I told her I'd talk when I'm done with work. She thinks you're avoiding her. I'm at my job, doing my job. Mike sighed and said I was right. He'd let her know I'd call when I could. At 4, I wrapped up work. My phone buzzed. If you don't call me in the next hour, I'm coming to your office. I typed back, don't. I'm serious. So am I. I'll call you tonight, on my time, not yours. I drove home, stopped at the grocery store, took my time, got home at 5:30, changed clothes, made a drink. At 6, I called her back. Where have you been? Working, then grocery shopping. I've been trying to reach you all day. I know I told you I'd call when I was done working. That was hours ago, and now I'm calling. What do you want? Silence. Then I needed to hear your voice. You're hearing it now. What else? Why are you being like this? Like what? Cold, distant. You wanted space. You told me to stop suffocating you. I'm giving you what you asked for, but you weren't supposed to actually do it. There it was. So you wanted me to ignore your direct request? No, I wanted you to care enough to try. I did try. 2 days after you left, you shut me down. So I backed off like you told me to. You were supposed to fight harder. Why? So you could reject me again? I'm done playing games. She started crying. I can't believe you're doing this to me. I'm not doing anything to you. You told me to stop contacting you. I listened. I made a mistake. I was emotional. Then you should have been clearer. But you waited 4 weeks, and in those 4 weeks, I figured something out. What? That I'm happier without the constant arguments? Without worrying about saying the wrong thing? She went quiet. I need to see you. Why? We need to talk, not over the phone. Fine, but not tonight. Tomorrow after work. Miller's Coffee on 9th Street, 6 o'clock. I want to talk at home. We're not meeting at home. Public place, take it or leave it. Long pause. Fine, 6 o'clock. See you then. I hung up and texted Marcus. You free for dinner tonight? Yeah, what's up? Just need to get out. Say no more. Murphy's Bar in an hour. I grabbed my jacket and left. Whatever happened tomorrow, I'd handle it on my terms. Tuesday afternoon, I was in a budget review meeting when my desk phone rang twice. Jennifer poked her head into the conference room. There's someone here to see you. She says it's urgent. My stomach dropped. I excused myself and followed Jennifer to the lobby. She was standing by the reception desk. Mascara smudged, hair disheveled, eyes red from crying. We need to talk now. Every head in the lobby turned. I grabbed her arm gently and led her to an empty conference room down the hall. The walls were glass. Everyone could see us, but at least they couldn't hear. I closed the door. You can't just show up at my workplace like this. You weren't answering your phone. Because I'm working like I told you yesterday. What's so urgent that it couldn't wait 3 more hours? She stared at me like I'd completely lost my mind. Like I was speaking a foreign language she couldn't comprehend. Are you serious right now? We haven't spoken in a month, an entire month. And you're acting like this is nothing? Like it doesn't matter? You told me not to contact you, I reminded her calmly. I respected that request. Now you're upset and angry that I actually listened to what you said. I didn't think you'd just stop caring completely, she said, her voice breaking. Just shut me out like I never mattered. I leaned back against the conference table and crossed my arms across my chest, maintaining my composure. I didn't stop caring about you as a person. I stopped chasing you. There's a huge difference between those two things. No, you shut me out completely, she insisted. I've been calling you for days trying to reach you. 2 days, I corrected her. You called me yesterday morning. It's Tuesday afternoon right now. That's barely 36 hours, not days. And you ignored every single message I sent. I was in an important meeting with executives yesterday morning that could affect my entire career. Then I responded to you and said I would call later, which I did. At 6 o'clock, exactly when I said I would, like an adult with a job and responsibilities and commitments. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. You've changed. You keep saying that. Yeah, I have. You wanted space, I gave it to you. During that space, I realized I was happier, calmer, not constantly worried about saying the wrong thing. So yeah, I changed. This isn't fair. What's not fair? Me taking your words seriously. Me not playing guessing games about what you actually meant. I was upset. I didn't mean for you to completely shut me out. Then what did you mean? Because stop suffocating me. I'll contact you when I want to seems pretty clear to me. She started crying harder. I didn't move, didn't comfort her, just waited. I thought you'd fight for us, she finally said. Why would I fight someone who told me to leave them alone? Because that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to show you care. I shook my head. No, showing I care means respecting what you ask for, not ignoring your words and doing what I think you secretly want instead. That's manipulation. I don't do that. She wiped her eyes, looked around the room, noticed the glass walls, saw people walking by glancing in. Everyone's staring, she whispered. Yeah, because you showed up at my workplace having a breakdown? This is exactly why I said we'd meet at a coffee shop. Neutral ground? Private. But you couldn't wait, so here we are. I just wanted to see you. You're seeing me now, what? She looked lost, like she'd rehearsed this conversation in her head and nothing was going according to script. I want us to talk like we planned. Fine. Miller's coffee, 6 o'clock, don't be late. Can't we just go now? No, I have work to finish, and you need to leave before this gets more awkward than it already is. I walked to the door and opened it. She stood there for a moment, then walked past me into the hallway. I watched her leave through the lobby. Several coworkers quickly looked away. Back at my desk, Jennifer was waiting. So that was your wife? Yep, she seems upset. She is. Are you okay? I'm fine. You don't look fine. You look exhausted. I sat down and rubbed my face. I am exhausted, but not from today. From the last 2 years of this. Jennifer nodded slowly. For what it's worth, you handled that well. Stayed calm, didn't get defensive. Thanks. She patted my shoulder and walked away. At 5:30, I packed up my desk for the day, drove to Miller's Coffee across town, and got there 15 minutes early. Wanted to choose my spot strategically. Ordered a black coffee and sat at a corner table in the back with my back to the wall so I could see the entire room. She arrived at 6:03, 3 minutes late. She spotted me immediately when she walked in, hesitated for just a moment, then walked over slowly and deliberately, like she was approaching something dangerous. Hi, she said quietly. Sit, I replied, gesturing to the chair across from me. She sat down carefully and folded her hands on the table in front of her, fingers interlaced. I'm sorry about earlier today, she started. At your office. I know that was inappropriate. You should be sorry, I said evenly. That was unprofessional and embarrassing for both of us. You put me in an impossible position at my workplace in front of my colleagues and superiors. I know, she said, looking down. I just panicked when you weren't responding. I didn't know what else to do. Why did you panic? I asked. Because I wasn't responding to your demands immediately? Because you seemed completely fine without me in your life? Because I felt like I was losing you, she whispered. Like you'd already moved on and I'd made a huge mistake. I took a slow sip of my coffee and set the cup down carefully. You lost me when you told me to stop contacting you, I said quietly but firmly. You just didn't realize it at the time. You didn't realize the impact your words would have. Her face crumpled and fresh tears started forming. Please don't say that. It's the truth. And we both know it. You wanted space. You demanded it. You got exactly what you asked for. And during that space, during those 4 weeks, I realized something really important about myself and about us. What? she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. That I don't want to be in a relationship where I have to constantly walk on eggshells, where every single conversation is a potential argument waiting to happen, where I'm constantly trying to guess what you actually mean instead of what you say, where nothing I do is ever right or good enough. But that's not what we are, she protested. That's not what our relationship is. That's exactly what we were, I said firmly. That's exactly what our marriage had become. And I'm not interested in going back to that situation ever again. I won't do it. She reached across the table. I pulled my hand back. Please, she whispered. We can fix this, can we? Or are you just scared of being alone? She didn't answer. Told me everything I needed to know. I finished my coffee and stood up. Wait, where are you going? Home. We're done here. But we just started talking. No, you just started realizing I'm serious. There's a difference. I left her sitting at that table, walked to my car, drove home without looking back. Whatever happened next was up to her, but I'd already made my decision. She called 17 times that night. I didn't answer any of them. Wednesday morning, she was waiting in the parking lot when I arrived at work. I walked past her without stopping. Please, just give me 5 minutes. I kept walking. Security noticed one of the guards approached her as I entered the building. At lunch, Daniel called me into his office. Everything okay? I heard there was an incident yesterday. Personal matter, won't happen again. Good, because that promotion we discussed, it's yours, effective next month. I should have felt excited. Instead, I just felt tired. Thursday. She showed up at the basketball court during pickup games. Marcus got to her before she could reach me. He doesn't want to talk to you right now, he said. You don't know what he wants. Actually, I do. He told me, leave him alone. She walked away in tears. Jason jogged over. That was rough. Yeah. You okay? Getting there. Friday. That evening, my phone rang. Her mom again. She's a mess, she said. You need to talk to her. I already did, I told her. Tuesday at the coffee shop. She didn't like what I said. You can't just give up on your marriage. I didn't give up. I stopped fighting for someone who doesn't know what she wants. That's cold? No. What's cold is telling someone to stay away, then being mad when they do. I'm just protecting myself. I hung up. Saturday. The next morning, I woke up to a text from her. One last try. Can we please try again? I know I messed up. I'll do anything to fix this. Please. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at it for a long time. Thought about everything. The fights, the walking on eggshells, the blame, the constant tension. Then the peace I'd had these last 4 weeks. The quiet, the freedom. I thought about who I was now versus who I'd been with her. Then I typed my reply slowly, choosing every word. You asked if I could live without you. Turns out I can. And I prefer it. You pushed me away to see if I'd fight for you. I didn't, because I respected what you said. That's who I am. If you wanted something different, you should have said so. I don't do games or hidden messages. I need honesty and straight talk. I wish you well, but we're done. Goodbye. I read it 3 times, made sure it was exactly right, and sent it. Then I blocked her number. No more calls, no more texts, no more drama. Sunday. At Marcus's barbecue, his girlfriend Andrea pulled me aside. I heard about that last message, she said softly. Are you okay? Honestly? I asked. She nodded. Yeah. For the first time in years, I can breathe. I can just be me without worrying about criticism, she smiled. That's really good. You deserve that. Everyone does. Monday. I went to work feeling lighter than I had in years. Jennifer saw me by the elevator. You look different today, she said, studying me. Like, really different. I feel different, I told her. Good different? Very good different, she grinned. I can tell. 3 months later, Kevin from finance asked at lunch if I was seeing anyone. Not yet, I said, still enjoying not suffocating anyone with my existence. He burst out laughing. 6 months later, I ran into her at the grocery store. She looked tired, older somehow. We spotted each other at the same time. She started to walk over, but I just gave her a polite nod and kept moving toward the checkout. No words. No hesitation. Later, Marcus asked over beers. Any regrets about not fighting harder? I thought about it. No, none. She told me what she wanted, and I gave her exactly that. If she didn't mean it, that's on her. I spent 2 years walking on eggshells, terrified of saying the wrong thing. I'm not living like that again. Not for her, not for anyone. That's fair, he said, raising his beer. Really fair. A year later, at Ryan's wedding, his new wife asked with a smile, "Seeing anyone special?" "Not seriously," I said. "Just figuring out what I really want." "Good," she said. "The right person won't make you guess. They'll tell you what they need." She was right. I'd learned it the hard way. Through pain, confusion, and silence. Words matter. Choices matter. When someone tells you to leave them alone, sometimes the kindest thing you can do is listen and mean it. She asked for space. I gave it to her. And I never looked back.